some years ago, I would say already like 6 years ago, 5 years ago, I was living in a large polluted city. I was in a relationship that didn't feel quite safe.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
had other external situations in my life, external events that caused a lot of stress. So
Mm-hmm.
that was the moment when I was actually diagnosed with MCAS, muscle activation
Wow.
syndrome. I became allergic to life itself.
Mm-hmm.
I was reacting to everything.
Today, my guest is Natalie Daniels. She is a nutrition therapist, author, and educator with more than a decade of experience in therapeutic nutrition. She works with clients around the world and continues to work alongside Paleomedicina in Budapest, the medical team that developed the Paleolithic Ketogenic Diet, PKD, supporting people using the protocol in practice. Over the past decade, she has worked with more than 1,000 people and has become known for translating complex nutritional concepts into practical strategies that people can apply in everyday life. Through her books, articles, and educational content, she has helped thousands more learn about therapeutic nutrition and the Paleolithic Ketogenic Diet. Here's my conversation with Natalie Daniels. Natalie, it is so good to have you on the Beyond Binge Eating podcast today. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to chat with you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So I guess let's start from the beginning. If you could fill us in on a little bit of your personal story before we dive into your professional work.
Okay, so I got into nutrition. My interest for nutrition actually started when I got sick many, many years ago, about 2 decades ago. I started just feeling off, like something was not right. So I started experimenting with different types of diets until I got to the plant-based diet. I was actually suggested by some medical doctors to go vegan, plant-based.
Yeah.
And for about 15 years, I went on this roller coaster of vegan, raw vegan, vegetarian, fruitarian. I did them all
Even
until
fruitarian, wow.
even fruitarian. Yeah, there was a period of my life that I lived in Indonesia, and that was the perfect moment for me to be fruitarian.
Wow.
Lots of fruit abundance, but obviously my body broke down right after that period of only fruit in my diet.
Yeah.
And I started having severe joint pain, debilitating joint pain. Amenorrhea for actually 6 years.
Wow.
Brain fog, just up and down of energy, mood, weakness, inability to build muscle, and binge eating.
Yeah.
Because I was so depleted in nutrients that my body just needed food. And at the end of the day, I remember cooking dinner for a couple of meals, for having some food the day after. Just after eating a big plate, going to the pot and finishing the pot.
Yeah.
That was never food for the day after.
Yeah.
So yeah, these were my main reasons to go very deep into nutrition studies, and here I am now.
Wow. Thanks for filling us in. And so, yeah, kind of take us on the next step. So you went deep into nutrition to try to heal all your maladies. It sounded like the most debilitating was the joint pain. And then, yeah, what was the next? I mean, how did you get into, for example, I know right now you are big into the Paleolithic ketogenic diet. So how did you go from, vegetarian, vegan, plant-based, like fruit-based into the Paleolithic ketogenic diet?
Yeah, this is quite interesting. And I'm not sure I've ever shared this on a podcast. Because it was actually through Ayurveda that I got into the Paleolithic Ketogenic Diet, because I was living in India at that moment, and I went to an Ayurvedic doctor. And just by measuring my pulse, he told me, you have non-alcoholic fatty liver. That's another thing that I had. And I'm like, bullshit. How can you tell me that just by measuring my pulse? So I went for an ultrasound right next door, and I actually had non-alcoholic fatty liver.
Wow.
So he suggested that I did a month of only meat broth.
Wow.
Meat broth with its own meat. And at that point, I wasn't mentally ready to do that. So I kept doing my thing in India, went back to Europe, and I started researching. And I stumbled across the Paleomedicina clinic that now it's called Nutri-Intervention.
Oh, okay.
I made an appointment and I went full on the Paleolithic Ketogenic Diet. I went from vegan, basically, to the Paleolithic Ketogenic Diet, basically a ketogenic version of the carnivore diet. After that, I actually moved to Hungary to learn as much as possible, to work next to the doctors and learn as much as possible from them. I lived there for a year. And in the meantime, I wrote the cookbook for the clinic.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So can you tell the people who might be listening or watching about this cookbook?
The cookbook is a collection of beautiful recipes, PKD recipes, Paleolithic Ketogenic Diet recipes. And it's a beautiful coffee table book, actually. It's only a physical copy, hard copy. Yeah. And I just wanted to make something really beautiful for people that need to follow this diet so they don't feel so lonely in the diet, because it's quite a restrictive diet. And for some people, the mental challenge, the social challenge is quite big. And the lack of ideas at the beginning is quite big. That's why I wanted to put together a collection of more than 80 recipes.
Wow. Yeah. I want to tell the people who might be listening or watching that she is like an incredible chef when it comes to PKD. I'm really not familiar with other people who do PKD, but I watch her stuff on Instagram, and I gotta say, to me, it is mouthwatering, and it just seems so nutrient dense. I really, I enjoy watching other people who's like, oh, what I eat in a day, and it's like, oh, it's some steak and eggs, and it's all good. But like Natalie's stuff is so unique. The cuts that she purchases, that she gets a hold of, that she cooks is like so unique. It's really interesting. I would love to like hang out in person just so she could make me food all the time. But yeah, I just, your recipe, I'm sure this cookbook is awesome. So can you clear up a little bit? So the PKD, you said it is a ketogenic version of the carnivore diet. Is that the only difference? Is there, or is, like, isn't there stuff related to like the actual like type of foods or whatever? Can you clarify a little bit more about what PKD is, or PD?
Yes.
Is it
PKD? Paleolithic Ketogenic Diet.
Okay, can you clarify a little bit more what the PKD is?
So from the outside, it can look like a carnivore diet, but actually it's quite different, because the fat ratio is a fat ratio that allows the body to enter a therapeutic ketogenic state. We include organ meat. Specifically, we focus on liver, bone marrow, brain. In some countries, this is really hard to source, or impossible to source the brain. But these are the main organs, the most nutritional dense organs as well. And then, of course, muscle meat, egg. And the diet does not include any dairy. This diet is is a nutritional intervention utilized to treat people with chronic diseases. So we aim for a therapeutic ketogenic state, and we aim to also avoid any food that can create or make intestinal permeability worse.
Natalie, tell us about your work with Paleomedicina.
So my work with Paleomedicina started in 2018. So I started myself with the diet in 2017. And after about 6 months on the diet, I wrote them an email and I said, I want to learn everything that I need to know to help people through this diet, because I was already utilizing protocols, autoimmune protocols, for example, with my own clients. But there was never a full remission from anything. And then I remember doing sort of an experiment with one of my clients. I told her, listen, I've been doing this diet. It's been great for me, because after 2 months, I had no more joint pain.
Wow.
Free of any medication. And my client had Crohn's disease, and she would bleed almost daily.
Oh, no.
A large amount of blood, like going down her leg. So I told her, you have nothing to lose. I still didn't have the blessings from the doctors, but we went for it. And after about 4 months, I cannot believe it. She had tried everything. And after 4 months on PKD, she had no more flare-ups for long periods of time. Now, I don't know if she's still on PKD. I hope so.
Yeah.
So I wrote them an email and I said, I want to learn everything that I need to know. And they're like, oh, no, we don't train. They were focusing just on Hungarian patients. And so I became I insisted a little bit until they said yes. So I started traveling to Hungary once a month to spend a week, 10 days with them, because at that point, the clinic was organizing retreats for patients. So people would fly from all over the world, Australia, United States, with severe diseases to spend a week with us and learn about the diet, start eating this way with someone, with a chef cooking for us, and obviously being monitored by the doctors.
Yeah.
And it was also an educational week because I started teaching them about PKD, about the protocol. And after some months of doing that, they asked me to move to Hungary. And so I did. I moved to Hungary for 1 full year.
Yeah.
And we organized more retreats. We're doing retreats in Hungary, in Norway. And then COVID started, and that changed everything.
Yeah.
And now the clinic actually just work remotely, online.
Okay. Yeah. And I understand. So, and you have your own private business. Do you work with them anymore?
Oh, yeah. I still cooperate with the clinic. So I have the PKD patients through the clinic, but I also have my own clients that, let's say many of them come because they want to eat a meat-based diet, but not all of them are on a PKD or carnivore diet. I work with a wide variety of clients.
So do you mean that you have some clients that do meat-based carnivore PKD, but then you have others who eat fruits, vegetables, and dairy and all that sort of thing too?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. I don't have any vegans though.
Maybe one day.
I doubt it.
Okay. So how do you work with clients?
With my own clients, when they book a call with me, they go through a questionnaire and they answer a lot of questions. So we don't, let's say, waste time during the call to gather that information. And I have an idea of what they're coming for this consultation. And most of the times we tackle, of course, the diet first, but it has happened many, many times that people that come to me, they've been doing carnivore or a meat-based diet for a long time and they don't see any results, or they start having new symptoms. They start feeling poorly.
Yeah.
So I've actually seen this pattern of doing the diet, restricting the diet even more, and just not feeling better so many times that I started widening my lens, and started trying to see the whole picture of the person. And many times when the diet alone is not giving results, it's because there is something else in their lives that is making the body not respond to the input, because the body is constantly responding to something, whether that's sleep, daily rhythm, light, stress, relationships, identity, the way we talk to ourselves,
Yeah.
So I actually work not just with nutrition, but also with lifestyle changes.
That's amazing. And I just love that so much that you're recognizing that it's not just nutrition. Sometimes some people can have amazing turnarounds and nutrition is all that there is, but then you're seeing with your clients that it could be stress within a relationship or some sort of other input that I love that word input. It's some other input that it's actually affecting the healing, the well-being that they're seeking. And so you want to support them in whatever way is the most effective, and not, maybe it's not the nutrition. So I love that you've opened up that lens. I'm curious, was that sparked from your own continuing journey of realizing that maybe nutrition is just one piece of the whole picture? Or how has this evolved from you being really focused on the Paleolithic ketogenic diet, and now, really taking into consider all these other lifestyle factors?
It did spark from a personal experience. Some years ago, I would say already 6 years ago, 5 years ago, I was living in a large, polluted city. I was in a relationship that didn't feel quite safe. And I had other external situations in my life, external events that caused a lot of stress. So that was the moment when I was actually diagnosed with MCAS, muscle activation syndrome. I became allergic to life itself. I was reacting to everything. Even going on an Uber drive, they have those car perfumes.
Yeah.
The smell of those car perfume will give me a massive migraine and the need to throw up because of that. Yeah, it was terrible. So I got diagnosed with MCAS, and I got desperate because my nutrition was already, there was nothing to change in my nutrition.
Your nutrition was 100% at that time. And
my nutrition was
so thick.
Yeah, my nutrition was 100%. I became even more strict actually with my nutrition because I wasn't eating leftovers anymore because I had a histamine issue.
Yeah.
So everything, if I was cooking in batches, it would be pressure cooked and then frozen and then thaw out very quickly. And I took all the measurements that I needed in order to reduce my reaction, to help my body to cope a little bit better with that situation. That's when I wrote as well a guide for managing histamine intolerance across all diets, not specific to carnivore or PKD.
Yeah.
So I needed to go deeper into what was the root cause of the situation. I have more than 2 decades of studies and practice as well into somatic practices. All the years that I traveled to India to study meditation, read the ancient texts, and study how the nervous system works, specialize in breath work. I did so many years of pranayama, waking up at 4:30 a.m. just to do my yoga practice. And I was very, very militant with that. So I have that background, and I'm thinking, this is not making any sense to me. So I had to put all my knowledge together, put everything together. So I started doing hypnosis. I started doing breath work because I wasn't doing those things on a regular basis anymore.
Okay. So it's you had this history, but you weren't actually doing it at that moment. Okay. So you were aware, but you weren't doing it. Okay.
Yes, correct. I had stopped, and it was right the moment in which I was living in this chaotic, large city. And it was the moment in which I most needed those practices, and I wasn't doing. I was actually hyperstimulating my nervous system. So I went back to all the things that I knew to calm my nervous system. And I realized that as my nervous system was getting calmer, my immune system was getting calmer too.
Wow.
So, and little by little, I started having less reactions. And little by little, I started understanding, wow, this is actually nothing to do with diet.
Yeah.
So I started eating leftovers again. And I started having no reaction. And the more I was reintroducing my normal way of eating, which for most people, it was not normal, but the more I started getting closer, going back to that way of eating, not worrying too much about leftovers, cooking in big batches and eating meat that was sitting in the fridge for a couple of days. the less I started the less I had reaction, and the more I was getting deeper into meditation, pranayama, breathing exercises, and other techniques to calm the nervous system. So now my work includes all of these techniques for people that need them. Some people don't need them. Some people really just need a dietary change, and that's all we do.
Yeah.
And some people really need time to understand that it's not just changing a diet, but it's also changing identity. Because all this requires the real work is the change in identity and what we believe about ourselves and our inner talk and self-talk, because so many people identify with a disease or being sick for multiple reasons. We all have our reasons. We all have our limiting beliefs, and working on those to come out of a rough situation is crucial.
Wow. I think what you're saying is just so interesting, kind of challenging the idea that there's a separation between our nervous system and our immune system, but you really notice in your own experience and working with clients that there's, that this system is integrated. And
there is no separation.
Yeah. And I love that you were saying about the identity piece too. It's just like there's so many aspects of our wellness that can be supported through different inputs, whether that input is a nutritional input, whether it's like a self-affirming input, the way that we talk to ourselves, the way that we treat ourselves. All these sort of things can have an effect on so many different aspects of ourselves that we hadn't even considered. And so it's interesting. I bet a lot of people are thinking, oh, well, maybe not so much listeners of, people who might be listening or watching may already be bought in that health is impacted holistically. But I think a lot of people, their mind would be blown to consider that something like, breath work would have an impact on an immune flare-up,
Yes. But not just breath work or yoga or meditation, but movement in general. Because it's true that some people need more rest and focus on activities, on different type of activities, but other people really need to do hard things.
Yeah.
Carry heavy things from one side of the room to the other side and lift heavy and snap out of that stagnation mode.
Yeah, I'm one of those people.
So,
what about you?
Yeah, I like to train hard.
Okay. Yeah.
But I combine everything because I cannot train hard every single day.
Yeah.
So on the days in which I'm resting, I usually train hard 4 times a week. Right now, we go through seasons in life, but right now I'm training hard 4 times a week.
Yeah.
And the other days I walk. I actually do breath work and some type of mobility or stretching on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I usually, like in between calls with clients or when I'm like busy on the computer, every like 30, 40 minutes, I stand up, I jump, I do some push-ups, I move my body.
I love that. You're not separating like, okay, this is the part of my day. These are the hours I work. And then here's my 1 hour to do like push-ups or jumping jacks or something. You incorporate these small, like, quote unquote, movement snacks throughout the day. That's actually like the healthiest thing.
It's crucial. It's crucial. We're not meant to sit down on the floor. When I work, sometimes I'm sitting on a chair, sometimes I'm squatting down, sometimes I'm having a computer a little bit more elevated and I'm in a half split. Sometimes I'm standing. I see a lot of people, I've got my standing desk, but standing for 5 to 8 hours or how many hours you work, it's not healthy because you are standing in a spot. The same thing as sitting. The body is meant to move.
Absolutely.
Not staying still.
There's this woman that I really love. Do you know Katy Bowman?
No, I don't.
Okay. She's like this. She has her PhD in biomechanics and she is like a big like proponent of like these sort of movement snacks and stuff. And she's written some books, and I've seen her I've listened to her on some podcasts, and she like really walks the walk. And so, for example, she will show sometimes like, oh, here I'm at the computer, and she's like crouched on the ground, or she's like got her one foot up on a box or standing or whatever, all these different positions. And for example, in her kitchen, she puts her dishes like very, very low. You know, a lot of people put dishes just in the cabinet kind of eye level, so that you can just like easily grab the plate. And so we're not challenging ourselves to get up, get down. We're just kind of like always in our easy range. And so she purposely puts all her plates and cutlery and all that stuff at the very bottom. So every time she needs to get a plate, she like crouches all the way to the ground, which I actually adopted that because I was like, that's pretty brilliant. So I have all my plates and everything like super low to the ground. But I think, yeah, like the idea of, this movement diversity and, not staying is static in one position for so long, even if it is like a standing position, like our body really thrives on different sort of stimulation and positions and activity.
Yeah, 100%. Squatting down is very important. Squatting and getting up again, basic movement, hanging for some grip strength, very important to develop or to maintain. These are basic movements that we're actually meant to do, marching in the spot. You can't go on a walk. It doesn't matter. Stand up next to your computer, next to your chair, and just march for 30 seconds. It's good for the body to move. We need to train the body, to train the mind to look for those movement snacks, as you call them, to move the blood, to move the energy, to move the lymph, because otherwise we create stagnation. I usually squat down like about 20 minutes every day. I accumulate them.
Wow.
I read books in that position. Sometimes I even eat in that position.
Oh my goodness. What would you recommend for people who are so like, that seems like too much, or they like maybe they have really poor ankle mobility, or there's other sort of things where they're like really far away from, being able to comfortably be in a squat position for 20 minutes, accumulate over time. But what are some tips you might recommend?
I think the most important thing is to start where your body is at. We can't ask someone to hang for 2 minutes when they've never hung from a bar.
Right.
So even from head rotations, wrist rotation, ankle rotation, from a standing position, hip circle, in both directions can be a great starting point. The thing is, most people have the knowledge. They know that they should be doing this, but they don't. I have some people, even like older people, okay? I have some people just standing up from the couch and just walking the perimeter of their house. It doesn't have to be anything dramatic, but the movement needs to happen. This movement of the arms with the legs has to happen often during the day. So yeah, I would say everything needs to be adapted to where the person is at the moment.
That sounds like a very, very supportive, and it sounds like something that everyone can do. Just start with where they're at. I love that.
Yes, even bedridden people, there are exercises that we can do with our eyes, and breathing is another way of movement. We don't see it that way, but when we become aware of our breath and how we can shift the breath from one area of our body to another, then we start seeing the movement that happens from within. Yeah,
that's really interesting. I was actually just recently talking with someone about that. It was someone who has been interested in Kundalini yoga, and I think she cannot do higher intensity exercise for whatever reason, like many of us cannot, due to whatever joint restrictions or whatever. And she was exploring the Kundalini breath work from that perspective of like, if we can't move our body in big ways, but we can actually shift our nervous system and sort of engage like the sympathetic side of our nervous system through an invigorating breath work, for example. Like it can be a bodily challenge. And I think that's really interesting that you just brought it up, because I had never you're like the second person like within a week to talk about it. And I had never heard about that before, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yes. I would say at the beginning, just focus on the breath on the belly and the chest. Most people just breathe on the chest.
Yeah.
And just put your hands on the belly and just notice how the belly comes up and down with every breath. And then once you gain awareness of that, you can start shifting things and having some fun, because you can actually bring that breath, that inhalation and exhalation to your lower back, to your shoulders, to the top of your head. And it's just a matter of practice. Everybody can do it.
Yeah. Do you have a specific favorite sort of breathwork technique or exercise?
It really depends on how I feel. Like if I'm feeling stressed out, that's the thing. There is no magic solution that will work for everyone 365 days a year. But if I'm feeling stressed out, I just go for slow breathing. I inhale perhaps in 4 or 5 seconds, and I exhale in 8, 10 seconds. Like the exhalation always longer, soothing for the nervous system. Or alternated nostril breathing. I inhale from the left one while I cover my right, and then I cover my left and I exhale from the right. So this pattern. But if I'm feeling like that I need to wake up, like for example, I have zero desire to go to the gym one day, I do breath work, 1 minute of Kapalabhati, or quick, it's called also the fire breath, quick breathing, and I wake up and my mood is much more sparking.
Yeah, interesting. I tend to like the sort of the focus on the long exhale, because I feel like I tend to be more like my default is more like anxiety and sort of like high arousal. And so for me, trying to engage more of like a sympathetic state through the long exhales, I also feel like that's kind of my preference. But I also love the alternating nostril breathing. And I've remembered being like, I've definitely had times where I'm doing it where I'm just like kind of shocked. You know what I'm saying? Like just kind of like surprised by how pleasant I found it. Like it's kind of like like, I don't know. It's just, it really has at certain moments, like really made an impact on me and be like, wow, I actually really like this one. Some of the other ones can be like, oh, it's a little weird. I tried it. And then I'm like, okay, well, but like the alternate nostril breathing, I've had multiple experiences. I'm like, I like this one,
Yeah. I wish people knew how powerful, I don't even like to call it breath work, because
what do you like to call it? Breathing?
It's just breathing, okay. It's that like connecting. It's the bridge. It's the connection bridge between our physical body and our inner body. And it brings back to balance in a, I don't want to say magical way, but almost, because it's very quick. It's immediate. You can do just 1 minute and you will notice a massive difference. Yeah. There is another one that I really like, and it's the humming one. It's
I like breathing. That one too.
So you cover your ears and you just inhale deeply and then humming. And it's funny because until like 10 years ago, this would have been just woo-woo talk. And I'm so glad now there is neuroscience actually backing all these up. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. For some people who are like, I don't know, I'm not going to do, what do they do? I'm going to do that. But then it's like, if you explain, well, this is actually innervating the vagus nerve. And they're like, oh, okay, maybe I'll try it. Yeah. And then they feel it. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm feeling something. And what I also love about breathwork is how it also is the bridge between, it's the bridge back to the present moment. you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's been, I know that sounds sort of like cliche, but like so many meditations are like, come back to the breath. And what that really is an invitation back to your body and back to the present moment, because we don't need to focus necessarily on an external object, because who knows where we're going to be, but you don't know where you're going to be. You don't know what tool, like if you're going to have a certain object that you can focus on, but your breath, as long as you are living, your breath is always with you. And so you can just focus on your breath, and that's immediately returning back to the present moment, which is like amazing.
That's actually my favorite way to meditate. I just focus on my breath and the sensation that I have in this space in between my lips and my nose.
So you've been working with thousands of clients for over a decade. And now it's just really delightful to see you incorporating all these things in supporting your clients. And in working with so many people over time, I'm wondering if you can share with us some of the bigger lessons that you've learned.
That's a really good question. Big lesson is that actually the body doesn't respond to one individual input signal alone. It responds to our environment, inner and outer environment. So my biggest lesson is actually to look at the whole picture instead of just focusing on one single thing. Of course, there is a moment for everything, because we can't change too many things at the same time, but there is always a priority. There is always something that the body needs first, whether that 1 hour extra of sleep or less light at night, or removing all the processed food, removing dairy, going a little bit more strict with the diet for a period of time until we bring back the balance, because the body is meant to heal on its own. We're not meant to be sick.
I love that so much. And the way that you said it was just resonated with me so much, in that, there are these different things that impact us, but that sometimes there's always one that is a priority. It's not that these things don't exist, but I'm imagining kind of like dimmer switches. Like this one is the one that needs the priority right now. And I think like, oh, well, some people, need to start with trauma work, and then other people really need to work on changing their macronutrients, protein and fat, and the type of the quality of the food that they have. And at another point, it's rest and it's sleep and it's attention to circadian health and that sort of thing. But it's not that there's only one important thing. It's that to think about all these things and really trying to focus in on what's the most important thing right now.
Yes. We tend to see these as pillars of good health. I like to think about them more like a circle. And they're all one inside the other, and they interact.
Interesting.
In a circle, It's never one single thing separated from the other. It's like our body, our systems are not separated.
I love that. I love that, Natalie. Is there anything else that you'd like to share or talk about? And any last words before we wrap up?
To all the people that are looking for improving their health, whether that's disease or just improving their energy on a daily basis, relax. Relax, because as I said before, the body is meant to thrive. So if you give the body the right input, it will heal it. There is no doubt about that. There is no doubt. So cheer up and just look for the right input for yourself.
There is hope. There is hope.
Yes, 100%.
If people want to find out about your offerings, if they want to work with you in a one-on-one, what is the best way or the best ways to be in your world?
So I have an Instagram account called Ancestral Carnivore. It's focused just on PKD. I'm about actually to change my website. I'm in the process of changing my website at the moment. So right now it's nataliedaniels.me. But it will be soon, in about a month, it will already be thebodyresponse.com.
Ooh.
Because yes, I've been working really hard. I've been building something that it's that feels like the next evolution of my work, and it's called the Natalie Daniels system, which basically guides people through this process to understand what the body needs first.
That's going to be like a separate service that's at thebodyresponse.com.
So the nataliedaniels.me will be substituted for thebodyresponse.com. And everything related to therapeutic nutrition will be there as well. Everything that I've been doing so far will be integrated. I'm just widening the lens because I want to help as many people.
That is so freaking exciting, Natalie. And we're just on the same page as far as so many things, and just, you know, that nutrition is really important, but also it may not be everything. There's all these other things. And I'm just really excited for the Body Response. I'm excited for your Natalie Daniels system. You have been on such a tremendous journey yourself of healing and transformation. And it's just amazing all that you have done with Paleomedicina and in your own business. And now with the Natalie Daniels system, I'm so excited for all of that. So thanks so much for being here today, Natalie. It has been such a pleasure. Thank you.